Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Outlook in the DeFi Dojo. I am Groot, aka Rob, and we do this every single week in the Discord for premium members. This is the first weekly outlook of the month, and so this is going to be public to YouTube, and then the following weeks, every Sunday night, we do this privately in the Discord for all premium members. If you subscribe to a Bonsai bot on Astrobit, it also includes the Discord along with it. So if you subscribe to a bot, you just make sure your Discord handle is in your Astrobit profile, and you will automatically be assigned the roles to see all of the premium channels in the Discord. We do a lot of stuff here. We do stocks, options, crypto, short-term, long-term trading, 401k type investing. We kind of do a little bit of everything. So if you're interested in that, you can find the links to that in the description. I also want to go over my bots, which I have never actually covered on a YouTube video or anything. It's kind of just been this private thing that I've done, and the people in the Discord and who follow me on Twitter know about it, and we've been doing really well. Bitcoin has been the hardest to bot. It's not doing as well as I had hoped it had been doing up to this point. But I do still think that it will do well. I pushed an update here at Trade 57, and it has kind of done better since then. We did have our first green month after a while. But overall, I'm still not thrilled with it, and I'm still doing other things to it to see if I can have it perform better. But all in all, Bitcoin is very difficult to bot. But I do think that over the long term, it will do better. Looking at the Ethereum strategy that we have, these are the live trades, by the way. It has done really, really well since we've launched. It's currently up 33%, while Ethereum itself is only up maybe 5 to 10% in that time frame. So my Ethereum strategy on Astrobit is performing better than the market. Looking at the Sol strategy, it also performs better than the market over the long period of time. However, since I launched this bot, Sol itself has, I think, outperformed it by a little bit just because it's been on such a huge rally. But when you take into account over time being able to short it as well, it will overall do better than the market. And so far, it's returned 40% since it launched not very long ago. We began in the beginning of October. So a little over a month now, and 40% returns, and that's on 1 times leverage. You can do up to 5 times leverage on all of my strategies except for the Chainlink strategy. I'm still going to let that go a little bit before I up the leverage to 5 times, as I do with all of my strategies, just to make sure things are working correctly and doing well. And then once I have a little more confidence in it, then I will up that leverage. But you can see these on the Astrobit marketplace. I'll post the links to that in the description as well. You can subscribe to a strategy, get a bot, and then you can also set your own take profit and stop loss settings according to your own risk tolerance. You can cancel anytime. There's nothing locked up. It's just a really cool way to trade the market if you don't have time, if you don't have any ability to watch the charts all the time. These things do a really great job for you. There's other strategists in here as well, and a lot of their bots are very good. We are a team here at Astrobit. We don't try to compete with each other, and that's another thing that I really like about it. A lot of times TA guys are all like, oh, I'm right and you're wrong, and I try to avoid all of that nonsense, because everybody gets it wrong, everybody gets it right. The goal is to make money, and that's what we do here. We make money. We don't get them all right, but we get them more right than we get wrong, and that's the goal. Risk management's a big thing here in this Discord. So I just want to teach people to be better at trading. I don't want to feed you alerts. I want to teach you how to do this on your own and make your own decisions. Be your own financial advisor. This is your money. It's not mine. So you need to be responsible for it. Now, enough of that. Let's get into the charts. So we're going to start with the dollar as we usually do. DXY, after hitting that 0.5 that we talked about simply by drawing this fib retracement, and if we zoom in, you can see it had a real tough time with that 0.5 for several weeks. Never could close over it. Since then, we've taken a hard turn to the downside. We now have a weekly bearish cross on the dollar strength. This is good for equities, and it's good for crypto. I'm going to be bullish on crypto, bullish on equities moving forward. I think that we could potentially see new yearly highs on the S&P and the NASDAQ before the year is up. And this bearish cross here helps give me confidence in that. Could we get a bounce back up here? Sure. Could we get a red week? Sure. But overall, I think that we are going to continue going lower here and continue going higher on all major markets. And I'm going to go through all of these charts and show you all of these levels that I'm looking at one by one. So starting with the dollar, if you remember a few months ago, we were tracking how this was falling down towards the golden pocket down here, which is our main target still. I do think that we will slowly start making our way down here. We'll probably hit the 0.5 in some short amount of time, and then I think it will break. And then it will head down to this golden pocket here, and this will give equities and crypto some more power. If we look at the S&P 500, we have broken the main downtrend here. We are now in the 786, 886 pocket, which I call the greed and FOMO zone. This is where things can exponentially start moving to the upside and potentially find new all-time highs, which are not far away for the S&P. Looking at the NASDAQ, same thing. We are through the greed and FOMO zone now, and we have now been fighting support on top of it for several weeks after breaking out of this bull flag that we were monitoring. All-time highs are not far away for this as well, and now it has the ability to get there. Looking at the Dow Jones, it made a huge green candle last week, blasting through its downtrend here, through the greed and FOMO zone, and it is not that far away from all-time highs. So I do think that all major U.S. markets will hit new all-time highs, most likely this year, if not in January. Going into 2024, I am super bullish on all markets. I don't care about a recession. I don't care about wars or whatever. These charts are bullish, and this is what I read. I don't follow the news. We've been buying in this Discord since last year, starting in October with equities, and then we bought Bitcoin in December at the lows, and now Bitcoin just hit 40K. So that's amazing. We're doing really well. We're going to continue to hold, and we have our targets. What are those targets? Well, for Bitcoin, our targets are up here, and we've already entered our profit-taking zone from the lows down here where we bought last December. So now that we are in here, this opens the door for the next level. And I think that we could potentially see 42,760, maybe even as soon as this week. I don't know how much this is going to continue without any sort of pullback first, but I am bullish on Bitcoin all the way up to 50K potentially. And then that is when I think we could see a serious retracement. Why? Because this is just what happens every single cycle. We get a move to that 786, and then it falls down heavily for the big, pullback of which you want to be buying, and then we will go and see new all-time highs sometime next year, in my opinion. Moving into 2025, even, it'll continue. So you can see this channel we're forming on Bitcoin, and we haven't gotten to the top of it yet, and so that could be where we're headed first before we see that kind of pullback of some sort. Before we're going to be shaking around in here a lot. You can see how much price moves up and down in this area. So things are going to continue to be really volatile, and we're going to see a major pullback at some point when we're in this zone. So just be careful with your leverage trading. If you're spot buying, that's great. Just buy the dips. And then understand that once we get up into this zone, things are going to start getting a little crazy. So I kind of envision, something along these lines, whether we get a pullback down here first and then move back up to the 0.618 or 68 and then the 7.1. But once we tap this channel top, then I think we could start seeing a little bit of a pullback and then monkeying around in here for a while until we hit that 786, right? Once we hit that 786, we could go quickly back down to the bottom of this channel. And depending on how long that takes, I don't know. But it could be something where it lines up really well with that 0.5 in the bottom of that channel, which is like February, right? So those are the kind of things I'm looking at. And when I see this big dip that comes eventually, whether it's, this month or in 3 months, I do plan on buying the bottom of this channel heavily, because that is when we are going to bounce and then head up into our own greed and FOMO zone and then go see new all-time highs. Bull market targets for Bitcoin are going to be in this range up here, anywhere in between the 1.272 and the 1.618. This is where Bitcoin is going. I am almost 95% certain of it. So when you see these big pullbacks that happen in this little zone here, don't freak out, right? Like don't panic on a 45K to a 32K fall. because it might happen in a day. Like, that's how crazy Bitcoin can get sometimes, right? Everybody's going to start jumping in long now. Everybody's talking about Bitcoin. So everybody's going to be buying. People who have never bought Bitcoin are going to start buying. The market's going to want to shake those people out. They're going to want to shake these weak hands out as much as they can to get as much Bitcoin as they can before this thing launches, right? And so that's what we can expect to happen. But it doesn't matter if you buy at 45K or 32K anymore, because we're going here, right? Like, at the end of the day, that 7,000 difference doesn't make too much of a difference anymore when this is the target. So just keep your eyes on the prize, and that'll help you hold, right? Don't panic sell your Bitcoin for any reason whatsoever, okay? All right, moving into Ethereum. Ethereum broke up over the 2200 mark on the futures chart. This was the resistance we've been looking for several months now, and now we've gapped up over it. So that brings into the question, well, CME gaps like to fill. Are we going to fill this gap like soon, or is it going to take a while? I don't know. What I do know is that there's this trend line up here that stretches from each peak, right? And so we could go up here and hit this trend line first before we come back down and maybe fill the gap, or maybe the gap just gets left. We've already left 2 gaps down here that are long gone, right? And I don't really see us coming back down here. When the time comes, sure, if we break 1920 again at some point, then we can start talking about that. But right now, this market's so bullish that you can't talk about it. Like, it's not even something we should talk about. Looking at the spot chart, kind of the same situation with the white trend line, right? So what happens when we get here? That's what we're going to watch this week. We want to see what happens when we touch that line, if we get a big pullback or not. But all in all, 2070 is now our floor. 2070 is now going to be the resistance that we've broken, that you can see back here was so hard to get through. And now that we are through it, it will be very hard to break it back down. So 2070 is now our floor. You can be safe with whatever Ethereum you bought down here for the time being. And that feels pretty good because we've been buying for a while. Bitcoin, just like when it broke its 0.5, notice that it never touched it previously, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, we're through it, and we've never even gone back, right? So the same thing can happen with Ethereum here. Like, we're going to get through it, and maybe we just never come back. That's definitely something that is possible. Total market cap, we finally hit that 1.5 trillion mark, or close to it, 1.48. This is our resistance now on the entire market. So we could experience a pullback from this point simply because this is the first time we've touched it. It might need, a couple attempts to break through it, similar to how Ethereum needed a couple attempts to break through it, and Bitcoin, tested it close but never touched it. I personally think, and this is just my opinion, and like I said earlier, everybody gets it wrong, I kind of think we're just going to blast right through this. Just like we did here. Like, we just blasted straight through it. So I do think that it is possible for Bitcoin to see this 42,760 mark this week. And when we're looking at Ethereum, if we break that trend line, then our gap is all the way up here at 2550 to 2630. And I do expect this gap to fill. This is our main target for Ethereum, and we just got to get through that little trend line first, and that's it. There's really nothing in the way of this going to 2500 except for that one line that only has 2 points to give us some sort of confluence, right? So extremely bullish. I do not recommend shorting this market. If you watched my video 1 month ago, you heard me say that I was really bullish, and I think that we were going to continue higher. I even remember some comments about people saying something about a death cross, and that there's no way the market's going to pump after a death cross. What people don't understand is things like a death cross are lagging indicators. It's why we use the 821 EMAs, because those moving averages are slow moving. They're not good for crypto. Exponential moving averages is what you need to use, and you need to use low ones because crypto moves so fast. Now, if you're talking about a death cross on something like, the Dow Jones, then sure, that's going to take a little while to recover and it might fall. But when we're talking about crypto, moving averages are not great for technical analysis. You have to use EMAs. Looking at Ethereum against Bitcoin. So several weeks ago, I said that I think that as soon as we touch this trend line, which, by the way, is a 6-year long trend line on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, I think that Ethereum can start outperforming Bitcoin. And that has happened since I've said that. It hasn't happened as fast as I thought it might, but it is still happening. We have definitely bounced and gone higher here, and I think the only thing standing in our way is this little pivot in 8 EMA on the weekly. And once we can clear that, then Ethereum should start moving up a lot higher against Bitcoin. And so what I've been doing over the last several weeks is buying a little bit more Ethereum than I've been buying Bitcoin. And I think that it can outperform it moving forward and head back up to this downtrend. When we look at total 3, this chart looks ugly again. We spotted divergence here, and I still think it is, and it could continue to be divergent. We could continue to see the RSI and the MACD pointing higher while this points lower. And since Bitcoin dominance is heading up higher still, coming up to its 0.5, Bitcoin has taken over again. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great, right? We just broke the downtrend there. And if Bitcoin breaks that 0.5, then it's going to start heading to its golden pocket in the main downtrend. So if that's what happens, then yeah, Bitcoin's going to continue to go higher. I think altcoins might lag, and Ethereum, I think, is just going to be along for the ride until it takes over. I don't think it's going to see any serious falls. Looking at total 3 again, I think that this could maybe continue to be divergent. So it could fall one more time maybe. This could print another higher high. This might print another lower low. But then the strength is returning to the altcoin market, although it's just happening slowly. So I do think that altcoins are something that you want to accumulate here still, especially ones that have shown strength. And when the time comes for this to finally bounce, which should be soon, I think will be, heavily rewarded. If we look at the CME chart on Bitcoin, it's still heading higher. Like there's a gap here, and it's not even coming for it yet, right? Like this is super bullish. Please don't try to short this market. I don't care what crypto Twitter influencer you're following who's telling you to short the market. I haven't told anyone to short the market for weeks, and I've been telling people do not short this market. It's not a good idea. You're likely going to get screwed, and you're just fueling the rally higher because you're just getting squeezed. So wait for some sign of weakness first, at least. Like there's been zero weakness shown here, so there's really no reason to short this. All right, so I think I've covered all the majors. And then what I do in the Discord is I ask everybody if they have any chart requests, and they'll drop them in the chat, and I go through all of those one by one as well, but I'm not going to put that in the recording. I will, however, record a separate recording and post that in the Discord so other people can see it. But thank you for watching this video. I'm going to post links for everything in the description here. Please like and subscribe if you want to see future content, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.